Hello from Germany, where Leeds United have kicked off their pre-season training camp at a secret location. We're not able to tell you where it is because the German authorities didn't want Leeds fans here. Again, for the second time in a row, second summer in a row, Leeds United will play their two pre-season games here behind closed doors. The first will take place on Tuesday. It'll be a game comprised of two 60-minute periods. It would be no surprise to see two completely different teams for those 60-minute periods, and then they'll play again on Saturday. German lower league opposition on Tuesday. We'll be there to report, and we'll be able to let you know what happened, but we are working under an embargo, so it'll be a little while after the games finish. But there will be no supporters, which again is a massive shame for Leeds United and some missed revenue because they could have sold a lot of tickets for those games. We managed to go to training at the team's camp today to get a glimpse into what Daniel Farke has them doing. We also saw who was there and who was not there. Anton Stach was nowhere to be seen, but he will be joining the squad this week. His arrival is imminent. The deal is in the closing stages. It was at the medical stage this morning when we arrived. The good thing about Leeds being where they are is that there are lots of football clubs and lots of medical facilities that they can take advantage of. So they should be able to get that one over the line. 6'4" central midfielder, get him involved in training this week, and we might even see him involved at the weekend. Brendan Aronson's not here, and that's because he was involved in the Gold Cup with the US men's national team this summer, so he got 2 extra weeks off, and he's due to fly in on Tuesday. Mateo Joseph is also not here, and it's not yet certain when he will arrive. On Saturday, we asked Daniel Farke about Joseph's whereabouts. Lots and lots of transfer talk around him this summer. Real Betis obviously very, very keen. They haven't been able to get a deal done for him, but they're still thought to be very keen on him. Farke said that he didn't feel ready for games yet, which appeared very much to come from the player himself. And it contrasted quite starkly with Farke saying that Willian Jonte was also involved in that under-21s European Championship this summer, but was desperate to be involved against Man United and came back really sharp. So we'll have to wait and see as to what happens with Mateo Joseph. It does feel like Leeds United have been pretty consistent all summer that he's not for sale, but you just wonder if maybe a loan would be best for all parties, because in that way, Leeds United retain the player. If he goes away and scores a load of goals, maybe in La Liga or maybe somewhere else, then his value shoots up. And then next summer, they could be looking at a more advantageous situation. Or alternatively, they keep the player, young player with a lot of potential. But the pathway to first-team football seems to be getting harder this summer rather than easier. So he's not here at the minute either. And we'll have to wait and see when he arrives. In terms of what we saw at training, it was mostly football focused. They did quite a lot of fitness work. It looked like a tough and intense session, but the intensity came mostly in the form of small-sided games, lots and lots of football, lots of passing drills before that, and then a small-sided game with 4 mini goals. A team with a numerical advantage played against a team playing an underload, and the rules were different for each team. The team with the numerical advantage had to pass the ball 7 times before they could shoot, and the team with the playing an underload, they had to win the ball back and could shoot instantly. But what stands out in pre-season training is just how unbelievably competitive it is, just how fiercely they contest everything, even if it's just a small-sided game. The disputes over handball decisions, the disputes over the ball going out, the claims for fouls. When they moved to the final set of several 4-minute small-sided games, there was one moment where Jadon Bogle nutmegged Largi Ramazani to go clean through and goal, and Ramazani simply grabbed him by the bib and hauled him to the turf and then kicked the ball at him in frustration. They do not like to lose at anything. Also very noticeable how vocal Ethan Ampadu is. We knew that from last season, and Joe Rodon as well. And just how much they let the coaches know about it when they disagree about a decision. But several players stood out as looking particularly sharp. Bogle, I thought, carried on exactly where he left off against Manchester United. I thought he looked really, really sharp, getting forward, attacking, finishing, beating players. Jakob Biol showed a really nice knack for finishing, used his body shape to deceive Ilan Meslier. And Meslier came up with some unbelievable saves. He made one incredible save from Largi Ramazani. Carl Darlow made a really spectacular one from Dan James. Dan James, again, competing in the air surprisingly well. Sean Longstaff getting forward and showing an eye for goal. That's something that will be key for Leeds as they put together the last bits of recruitment is where the goals are going to come from. Because you can see from the team that they're putting together that they're going to be difficult to play against, difficult to beat. They're going to be a little bit more compact, I would say, than they were last season. They certainly won't play with reckless abandon in the Premier League, but they are going to have to convert chances when they get them. To that end, they still think that Igor Paixão is a possibility. The Feyenoord winger, Brazilian, there are obvious shades and comparisons to be drawn with a former Leeds United player, and Leeds have been pushing the Rafinha story in some of their recruitment work this summer to say, look at this player, came to us, spent 2 years, went on to great things. Leeds played a big part in his development. They still think that there's a deal to be made with Feyenoord, that it's not a foregone conclusion with Marseille, despite those reports that appeared to emanate from the French club at the weekend. So it's one to wait and see, but Leeds certainly feel that he's a player worth keeping the door open for now at least, and we're waiting on more updates on that one. There's the goalkeeper situation to resolve as well, which has taken a little bit longer. But club sources say that Daniel Farke is more content to have the goalkeeper arrive later than some of the other players whose tactical adaptation would be seen as more vital, more pertinent than a goalkeeper. And then, you've got the left winger, you've got a striker. They still think that they might be able to do some business with Fulham for Muniz, but that may well depend on Fulham getting a replacement in. Fulham are known to be in the market for a striker. So the plan for the rest of the week is this game tomorrow against German lower tier opposition, 260 minutes. Then they'll continue to train at their base. And then on Saturday, they'll play the final game of this trip. Then back home to Elland Road for Villarreal. And then off to Dublin for what will be a spectacular weekend when they take on AC Milan. The YP will be at all of those games. We'll have all the usual player ratings, match reports. We'll be speaking to Daniel Farke, asking him for the latest on various situations, both incoming and outgoing. And at some point this week, we're very likely to see a giant midfielder pull on a Leeds United strip.